I built a real SaaS AI agent in just under 13 minutes with complete authentication, a robust backend, and a production-ready UI. With how powerful AI tooling is now, you don't need to wait weeks to ship something real. And that's exactly what we are going to do today. That's going to save you weeks worth of time. I want to show you what's possible and how most people are just overcomplicating it. We are going to build your own AI agent assistant that is going to act like a communication copilot that is going to rewrite, format, and clarify your messages, write your professional emails, also write any social media posts. And this is the next project in my AI agent series where I teach you how to build and deploy your own AI agents. So make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to know when the next video drops. Now, in terms of tech stack, we are going to use Next.js 15 alongside React 19, Shadcn UI components and Tailwind CSS for all the UI build, Convex for a complete backend, and WorkOs AuthKit for a robust authentication layer. A future-proof auth stack used by companies like Vercel, OpenAI, Cursor, Perplexity, and more. It's a drop-in replacement for Auth 0. And we will also be using Claude AI Anthropic for powering our AI agents. To make it really easy for you to follow along, I've also created a cheat sheet with all the links and resources that I discuss in this specific video, so you can simply copy paste and build and ship your own AI agent that is going to be a replica of you. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Let me quickly give you a walkthrough of our AI agent assistant app. You can think of this as your little minion that you can train. We have a chat window here, and this is the homepage of our application, and you can sign in or sign up. Like I promised, this comes with a complete authentication layer, so you don't have to worry too much about building auth from scratch. I will exactly show you how everything works. So if you click on sign in, you see this hosted sign in modal. If you go back and click on sign up, then you see this hosted sign up modal with a bunch of different identity providers that you can choose as well. In my case, since I already have an account, I'm going to go ahead and sign in. But in your case, if you don't have an account, then definitely check the link in the description below to sign up for WorkOs AuthKit. If you may be wondering why WorkOs AuthKit? Well, first of all, our application has a lot going on. We are going to walk through this specific diagram, but you can see all the different things that we have to do to make our application and our AI agent really robust. We shouldn't be worrying too much about authentication when solutions like WorkOs AuthKit exist already. You can think of it as a drop-in replacement for Auth 0, but we really don't want to be in a position where we want to rebuild our authentication later or rethink our auth in general. So having something like AuthKit makes a lot of sense. In our case, we are not in the prototype stage. We are way past that. We want to build properly and build this AI agent to have the authentication layer figured out. Having something like AuthKit that's going to take care of advanced user management, org-based authentication, enterprise SSO support even when you're ready to level up, then all of that is just provided out of the box for you, so you don't have to worry about it. So having something like this makes a lot of sense. Just go ahead and sign in with Google because that's what I prefer. You can see the message, welcome back Ankita. All of this is coming from WorkOs AuthKit hooks that we'll take a look at. Now let's take a look at the AI assistant agent. Now here, I'm just going to paste in a rough message and ask it to rewrite it. Now we have a bunch of different AI tools that we have given access to. So it's going to pick the right tool accordingly. And then as you can see over here, it literally took the message that is this one-liner. It gave some feedback based on clarity, tone, and grammar. And now it has also rewritten the message and given that to us as well. So if we want, we can just copy this. Now, I would suggest you to come up with a prompt that makes sense for you, your branding, your tone, and so on. So your AI agent can give you exactly what you're looking for, and then you can simply just copy and paste it wherever you want to paste. Next thing this AI agent also does is that you can ask it to write a professional email as well, and you can make it conversational. So you can just say something like, write an email to my dog wishing him a happy birthday. Now, this is a completely ridiculous email now. Why should I write an email to my dog? But I just want to show how this AI assistant or AI agent is going to come in play. As you can see, it has actually used its brain and given us some feedback that dogs cannot read emails. We need a name for your dog. So let's just give this information. My dog's name is Kobe and subject line is happy birthday. Tone should be fun. And as I do that, It's going to think again. It already is going to go through the entire context of this conversation and previous conversations. And now it has given me a really beautiful email, which is really fun for my dog. I wish my dog could read this, but it's really our AI agent in play. Now, not only this, our AI agent can also write social media posts as well, but these are just a few options that we can create AI agents for. I have created this AI agent framework that I really want you to follow whenever you are trying to create an AI agent, because this specific framework will give you step-by-step guide to ship a really powerful AI agent. Now, if you don't know what an AI agent is, then you can think of it as a LLM that has access to a bunch of different tools, and it can decide when to use which tool. AI agent is like a smart minion. It's going to basically use its own brain. It's an autonomous problem solver. For example, it's going to remember context, have access to a bunch of tools, have its own memory, and it's also going to access whatever tools you give it access to. For example, one of the tools could be searching the web, and it's going to go and do that if it thinks it's necessary. And more importantly, it just makes it more flexible and more model-driven decision making. So when should you use an AI agent? Well, you would want to use an AI agent whenever you have exhausted the possibility that a simple state machine is not going to be enough. State machine is predictable. They are a predictable set of steps that we need to take in order for the state machine to be complete. But in the case of AI agents, if you want it to be more dynamic, more autonomous, so it can think what it wants to do, then definitely go for it. But again, don't build them if you don't need them. A simple workflow should also be enough. So now in this specific framework, let's say we have a prompt, and we have this prompt called as analyze this, and this is the text for it. Now this specific text is asking the AI agent to use its own brain to then figure out exactly what it needs to do. In our AI agent framework, we need to definitely figure out an authentication layer, especially if we want to sell it as a SaaS. We don't want to give everyone access to our application. We only want to give folks access that should get access if they're paid for it. If you were to ship this and sell this as a SaaS, then you want to do that. The first step is to figure out the authentication layer. WorkOs AuthKit, in my opinion, is a really good partner for building our AI SaaS agent. And here's why. It's going to take care of all the advanced user management for us. And it's going to make our life a lot simpler because it also has customizable sign in and sign up UI. And this way we can truly focus on writing AI agent code and not worry too much about how the authentication is built out and so on. We also don't want to rebuild our auth later or rethink our auth as well. On top of that, WorkOs AuthKit also gives us a bunch of hooks for us, that is React hooks that we could use. Is the user logged in or not? Should we sign the user out? And a bunch of different things that are just easier for us to work with. And we just have to figure out the hook that we needed to use and we are good to go. So now that we have figured out the authentication layer, let's say our user is authenticated. Then comes the AI agent framework in play. You can literally think of this agent framework as a switch with its using its own brain. Now, agent framework, looking at this prompt, is going to figure out, okay, so now which tool that I have access to that I can use to help with this specific statement. So it's going to look at the analyze my message tool and access that. This also looks like an email, so it might access that as well. Using its brain and context, it's going to figure out which tool makes sense. If multiple tools make sense, it's going to do that. And these are the tools that we need to give access to our agent framework. Now, what I want you to do is write down a list of tasks that you need to perform that you would probably hire someone for. And then figure out exactly what are the different tools that you would need to give them access to. Like literally imagine that you are giving them access to, let's say, your Notion organization, to your emails and so on. All of this becomes different tools in our agent framework. AI agent is going to basically figure out which tool makes sense for your application. And to make this all simpler, we are going to do two things. We are going to use the AI wrapper from Vercel, which is really freaking cool. Now, writing plain LLM code can be very tricky because sometimes the APIs are not super obvious. Using an AI SDK wrapper really makes it simpler for us to interact with. On top of that, if you think about it, we are also going to use a agent framework. And this specific agent framework is in fact powered by Convex. Reactive as in whenever you make a change in the backend, your front end is automatically going to get updated. And because of a powerful state manager that it comes out of the box with. And we're going to use Convex because Convex has this AI agent framework, which is built on top of Convex, which automatically stores everything that we need for our AI agents. It's going to give us more options to make our AI agentic workflow really powerful. Which is why I have this switch here, because AI agent framework is going to look at these list of tools and then automatically figure out which tool to use. And this specific agent framework is also going to work with the AI wrapper to give us exactly what we want. Now, why a framework? Well, just like we have React as a library and we use Next.js as a framework, because it gives us the bells and whistles necessary to ship a really powerful production-ready application. That's exactly why we want to use an agent framework, because it's going to give us all the wrappers necessary. We could write a powerful AI agent. Once all of this is done, once we know exactly the authentication layer, the agent frameworks, the AI wrappers we're going to use, and so on, we need to figure out which AI model is going to help us with our tasks. Now, in our case, we are going to use the Anthropic Claude AI assistant. In a previous video, we used OpenAI to act as a senior software engineer and to give us code review feedback. In this video, I want to change things up and show you exactly how you would do the same with Claude AI. We're going to use the generate text function and then invoke all the AI magic that we need for our application. Once we are good to go, then we are going to use Convex database, that is Convex Backend, as well as Convex UI to interact with everything. Because of the AI agent framework that we have, Convex is automatically going to save everything in the database in the backend. It's going to store the chat history. It's going to keep track of all the messages and so on. So it just makes it really seamless for us to use something like this. So this is definitely an AI agent framework that I would highly recommend you to use when you're building AI agents. The first step in our AI agent framework is to set up WorkOs AuthKit. Now, in order to set that up, you would need to follow this specific guide. You would need a WorkOs account, an API key, and client ID, and literally follow the entire guide step by step. The only thing I would give you a heads up on is the callback URL. For example, if you head over to redirects, this is where you want to make sure you set up your callback URL as /callback, your login endpoint to be /login, and your logout redirect to localhost 3000. Now, obviously, when we deploy our application to production, these URLs change, but this is something that you want to keep in mind. Otherwise, you would get an error page from WorkOs AuthKit. Once all of this is done, WorkOs gives us a few handy little hooks that we can trigger. For example, here we have welcome back Ankita. So now if we go back to the header component, this is where we display it. Now you can see we have the get sign up URL, get sign in URL. All of them come from WorkOs Inc. /authkit Next.js. So we can literally just check if there is a user, then welcome back. Grab user's first name. If not, then we show the sign in and sign up URLs, which we get from these two functions here. Now, in terms of the user, if we go to layout, then this is where we have this another hook called as with auth, which gives us the user information, which we can pass in wherever we like. Now, as you can see here, the entire application is wrapped with AuthKit provider, so all the pages have access to authentication information. Let me quickly walk you through the code of the application. We have already seen how AuthKit provider is set up and how AuthKit is set up in general. But if you go to the home page of your application, we have this chat component. And if you open the chat component, it is in fact a client component. This specific client component is responsible for rendering this specific UI. So if you go back to the chat window, we literally render the messages that we get from Convex. And then we have this input area where the user can input whatever we like. Now, our job in this specific video is to implement the agentic part of it, so you know exactly how it works. Now, all the components that I'm using are in fact coming from Shadcn UI, and we are using Tailwind CSS. Now, when it comes to Convex, make sure you log in to Convex, and the easiest way to do that is log in via GitHub. And this is my agent that I have created. If you go to data, you can see there's this dummy table called tasks here, but then there's also another drop down option here called as agent. And that's because of how we have easily configured the agent part. Again, make sure to grab this specific GitHub repo from the description so that you know exactly how all of this is set up. Now, every single time I create a new thread, that is every single time I type a message over here and create something, so I ask it to analyze or whatever, a new thread gets created inside of Convex, and that's exactly what we are going to set up now. Convex literally maintains all the steps that can occur in a chat message, thanks to the AI agentic framework that Convex provides. To implement the send message button functionality for it, we need to head over to the Convex folder and make sure that you have this file called as agent.ts. So there are three types of functions in Convex: query, mutation, and actions. You want to use action whenever you want to invoke a third-party API call. You want to use mutations for any mutations, for example, create, update, or delete. And whenever you want to query the Convex database, then you want to use the query function from Convex that we get directly. So now over here, we are using action because we are in fact going to call Claude AI from it. So that's a third party, which is why we're using action. So I have outlined step by step what we need to do here. And don't worry if you don't understand every single step right now, because I'm going to walk you through it. In this specific diagram, we have set up the WorkOs AuthKit. Now let's set up this agent framework. The first thing we need to do is get the system prompt that is going to define the AI assistant's behavior. Now, when it comes to prompting, we have a set of tools that we need to give prompts for, but we also need to give like a generic prompt to tell AI that, hey, you are an expert AI assistant for Ankita, and that specific assistant will be responsible for completing a task. So for example, this is my system prompt. In here, I'm literally saying you are an expert AI assistant for Ankita. Your goal is to help her complete her tasks. These tasks include writing emails, messages, social media posts, and blog posts. Now you could tweak this to whatever task that you have defined. Remember, I gave you this as a goal. That's exactly what you need to create a prompt for. Now that we have a system prompt, we need to set up the tools that the AI assistant can use. But before we do that, I want to show you the code for creating the instance for defining the agent. This way, when we create the tools, it's going to make sense for you. So over here, we are going to call this AI agent assistant equals new agent. Now this new agent instance comes from Convex Dev Agent because they give us a AI agentic framework. In this case, we are going to call components dot agent, and then here we want to call this chat, and this is where you want to give it any AI model you want. For example, that could be OpenAI or it could be Anthropic and so on. And this is where Vercel AI comes in play. So for example, over here, we're going to pass Anthropic. Minute we do that, it comes from the AI SDK provided by Vercel. So in here, we are going to pass in the model that we're looking for. And I'm just going to say, I want this as a model. Now you want to go for older models so that you don't waste a lot of credits. In my case, I want a really high powering AI agent. So I'm going to go for that. The second step is to give it the instructions. And this time we are going to give the system prompt as the instructions. And now this is where the fun part comes in. We need to set up the tools for the agents. I'm going to keep it empty for now. So now that we have defined the agent, let's declare the tools that we want to give this agent. So first thing, we just need to define tools equals an object, and we can call this tool whatever we like. So I'm going to first say my first tool is going to be analyze the message. And then we're going to use tool, and tool comes from AI. If we go to AI SDK by Vercel, you will see that because the AI SDK provides a wrapper, a lot of the things are going to be very similar whenever you switch from, let's say, Anthropic Claude AI to OpenAI as well. The wrappers create that wrapper. The internals of the wrapper is going to call the necessary functions. For example, there's XAI, OpenAI is just like this, Anthropic is this function, and so on. Google is this, and custom would be some custom model. And you can take a look at all the documentation here for tool calling and so on. This is literally what we want to do. So I can just copy this tool, go here and paste it. Now we don't want duplicate tools, but we just want one tool. And this time, I'm just going to provide you the tools that we are going to need for it. First tool is analyze message. So this is going to be our analyze message. So analyze the given message and provide improvements in the following areas. And this is the formatting that I've asked AI to provide. And then I've also asked it to make sure to follow the tone and format of the message. And these are the different parameters that the AI is going to return. For example, I want a string formatted, tone, clarity, grammar issues, and rewritten message. Now that I have created a tool, I can just pass that in over here. So here's what we need to do. We need to check if there is a thread ID or not. If there is no thread ID, that means this is the first time the user has sent a message in a conversation. So we're just going to create a new thread. And this is where we're going to invoke the AI agent assistant dot create thread. And else, if there is a thread ID, we are going to continue existing thread, which we're going to worry about later. But for now, if you see create thread, we want thread dot generate text. And this is the generate text function we were talking about. So if you go back to our agentic flow, we have created this tool called as analyze my message. We have configured Anthropic Claude AI, and now we are invoking generate text. So this time we're going to say prompt, and then this prompt is something that comes from the argument over here. And then we can simply just return the thread ID. We could get result.text and result.tool results. We can just get the 0th value, question mark, result. There we go. So now we have created our first tool. Let's go back to our chat component. And here we already have a option for use action, and use action is a convex hook that we could use to invoke any action. And since in our case, this is a action, we could just directly invoke it. We're literally calling this specific function here. And then we are invoking that action that we just created, passing in the message, the user ID if it exists, and the thread ID. And then if that's the case, we are storing the thread ID for future purposes. We are checking if the type is going to be email and then returning that and setting the message. We are also parsing for the type for the tool. So we could also just hard code it, and we can just say that the type is going to be z.literal analyze. And once we do, and again, we are using Zod here, we can just create a schema here that we wanted to return. And now we can go back here and ask it to analyze this specific message. So we can say analyze. And the minute we press enter, it's going to start thinking, because that's the loading state that we have set up. And once it does, look at that. It has rated based on clarity, tone, and grammar. And then we have rewritten message, and this is the rewritten message. Hope this message finds you well. I want to send a friendly reminder about our upcoming deadline. Now, instead of just a reminder, please ship everything as soon as possible by EOD. This is a little bit more friendly. So in order for us to continue the thread, this is what we need to do. We need to call continue thread, create thread, and now we are calling continue thread and save it. We're going to add another agent called as write email. We can just pass in write email here, where we're saying write an email to the given recipient with the subject, and this is the prompt for it. Now let's just give it a z.literal type to be email. This time it was analyze, which was what we had here. Now we want it to be email so that it can be parsed accordingly. And this time I'm just going to say write an email to my dog Kobe. Once I do, it's going to think. So we can say subject is happy birthday Kobe and make it funny. And now we are continuing the conversation, and it has asked us a question. So it's going to remember that. And now it has generated a email saying that to Kobe the wonderful wolf. This is definitely a very heartwarming email. So lots of love and belly rubs, and it has remembered the context. So this is what I mean, that in this case, it was just going to create a thread, but in this case, it's actually continuing a thread, which is exactly what we're looking for. So this is how you could ship an AI agent. Now, if we go back to Convex, all of our data is in fact stored automatically. So let's just go to the topmost information. Let's go to messages. And here we have a column for message. Look at that. Dear Kobe, that's happy birthday in dog language. And that's literally the message that we just typed and created. In fact, we could just delete all of this information and then we can start again just to try out and make sure everything works as expected. So now if I go here and send message, again, it's going to get back to thinking. And watch what happens here. There we go. We have a model being set. And as you can see real time, because Convex is a reactive database, it has automatically updated that information. And now you can see it has given us a message, which is the same message that it expects a subject to be there in the email. And this is the text for it. And this is the email. This is a request that we had sent to Convex. Similarly, if we were to give it the same information, happy birthday, and tone to be funny, then going back here, again, it has already created a new row. And this is my request. But watch what happens once it does give us back a response. There we go. So now it has a response. And its first response is always the thinking response that we are not displaying. And second response will get updated right now. So if we go back here and if we go to message, this is the message. This is the response that it got back for us. So you can see how the Convex reactivity is going to really help us. All we did was in this specific repo, we installed a bunch of packages and set up Convex in agent. That's it. And that's all we need to do to make sure that agentic flow, our threads are being saved inside of Convex by using the AI agent framework. And that's how simple it is. And just by doing this, I was actually able to ship the specific AI assistant in less than 13 minutes, which was just bonkers to me because all these tools came in handy and it just worked seamlessly. Here's a homework for you before the next video launches. Now that we have a way to create and continue our thread, we could also show the historic information about this AI assistant agent if we like. In my case, I really did not care. I did not really need it. But if you do, and if you want to ship something like this, then you want to basically look at Convex and take a look at the messages table that Convex has automatically created here to show you exactly how to retrieve the message content from the table. And if you do, comment below and let me know as well so we can share that across and share it with everyone for how to do the same. As next steps, you could literally go bonkers. Like you could do whatever the hell you want and create an AI assistant agent for yourself or sell it as a SaaS, because this is just the beginning. There's so much more to AI that I'm going to explore in the upcoming videos. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed this in the AI agent series. If you did, please comment below and let me know what is something you would want to see next in the AI agent series. What's something that still puzzles you, some things I could clarify, and so on. Because now you could take this AI assistant agent of yours and ship it to production by putting it behind a payment wrapper. Now on my YouTube channel, I already have a video on how you could ship your own AI SaaS. So definitely check that out. Or check out the previous video where I show you how you could build and deploy your own AI agent that code reviews like a senior software engineer. All right, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.